All right, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do every day with the chickens. So I talked a little bit about daily chores with the goats. The chickens are a little bit different. I usually get them done before the goats. And it's actually not too cold today, so I can actually hold my phone without my hand freezing off. It feels like 2 degrees today, when normally it feels like -10, -15. It's been crazy recently. So we're taking advantage of it, and my hand will not numb as quickly as usual. So for the chickens, this is what I start with. So first off, we collect all of our kitchen scraps for the day in this bucket. There's actually not that many today, but the chickens love this stuff. They'll eat pretty much anything. I mean, there's some things that are poisonous to chickens, like avocados. They don't really need to eat citrus, so we keep that away. But, and of course, uncooked beans. But for the most part, we'll give them everything else. Now, because of the freezing winter, I have to bring in this water bucket every day. Now, you can see here, this is just a standard Home Depot 5-gallon bucket. But what we've done is we have installed these little red nipples down here into the bottom. And there's 4 of them. And what that does is they see the red coloring of that little nipple, and they peck this little metal thing right there. You can see there's a little cup at the bottom that makes the water ball up in there, and then they eat it, or they drink it rather. So it's a pretty cool system. We've been using these for a while and been so shocked at how easily they learn this little nipple system. They can figure it out pretty quick, and it helps the water stay cleaner. You see, we can actually keep a lid on it. Before that, you have kind of like a reservoir, and then a kind of like a, I don't even know, like a river type thing. Problem is with that is they poop in it, and it gets bedding in it and all sorts of other problems. So this works really well. I don't fill the bucket up all the way. In the summer I will, because then I don't have to fill it up every day. It'll just drain out. But I fill it up halfway, so I'm not lugging a full 5-gallon bucket of water every day back and forth, since it's gonna freeze every morning anyway. I also fill it up with hot water every morning, and that will keep it from freezing faster. So you can see it's half full in there. They'll drink, maybe half of what's in there. So when I carry it back, it won't be as heavy. But for the most part, chickens, it's just feeding them and watering them. I don't check for eggs in the morning, but soon I will. They're all in it, some of them are starting to lay more often, which actually this can prove as an update for you as I'm walking out to the chicken coop, that we've been feeding them their homemade feed for a little over 2 weeks now, or just about 2 weeks, and it's working. So, I'm not really surprised that it's working. I've heard so many accounts of people saying that their store-bought feed stopped working, and then when they started making feed, they started getting a lot more eggs. So, excuse me, I'm trudging through some snow. We got some wicked drifts recently because it's been windy. So I cleared all this snow in this path, but then what happened was the wind blew it. So now I've got some deep-ish drifts. You can see it's kind of far away up there. Maybe I'll show you when I get closer. But the wind blows it up against the shop. And so there's actually some snow still out there, but normally what we see is it blows it so it's nearly clear out in the middle of that clearing out there, and it just blows up, and to get like 4-foot drifts up against the shop. It's kind of funny, but yeah, now I'm trudging through some drifts. I need to clear it again today, so that will be part of Saturday. In any case, yeah, we actually got 7 eggs a couple days ago, and I got 3 yesterday. So, that 7 day was a shock. There were at least 4 new eggs. So the new feed is working. And I'm going to show you what I do to prepare that as I get out here into the shop. So every morning I prepare a batch of food. And that's mainly because if we don't give our chickens free choice feed. There we go. Whew, out of the sun. I can actually see now. You can hear a rooster in there. I don't give them free choice feed because then they tend to overeat. Which, isn't a terrible thing. Just makes you go through feed faster. And I know that it can mess with their egg production, which is already not great anyway. So I definitely did not want to mess with that. But it's exciting, to see results of the homemade food actually coming to fruition. I've got a cat in here waiting for me. This one's name is Beatrice. You can see there's a little bit of a bedding mass I just filled up there. Their egg laying spots couple days ago. I need to sweep that up. But conspiracy theories aside, we're getting more eggs. So we're gonna keep feeding them our homemade feed, and I plan on taking back all of the rest of the feed that I purchased. We got 5 or 6 extra bags that I'm gonna be returning to the store today. I know they'll accept it because they don't really have any rules for returns, which is kind of nice. But see our shop behind me, and we've actually got all of our garden stuff right there ready to go, all of our cages and whatnot. But yeah, let me show you how I make this food. So here you can see this is the 100 pounds. It's not 100 pounds anymore. I've been feeding it to them for a while, so it's probably more around 60-ish pounds, maybe 65. But what I do is we have a scale right here, kitchen scale that I just turn on. I've got an extra container right there, and I tear that. I'm measuring out 4 pounds. Now this bin here can't really hold that much at one time. So I'm just gonna grab this, then we're gonna measure out 2 pounds, roughly. I'm not like super stickler about it. I mean, I try and get as close to 2 pounds. Sometimes go over, not a big deal. Then I pop it in this bucket right here. You'll see why in just a minute. We'll grab another one. So exciting, measuring food. But yeah, I'll show you after that. Now, the reason I do 4 pounds is because we have, I want to say, I'm trying to remember, 18 chickens. And you give roughly a 1/4 pound of food per day. Now, we've adjusted that because we realize they don't always eat the full 1/4 pound, which is why I give them just a little bit less. But I give them 4 pounds, kind of following that 1/4 pound per chicken guideline. Let's pour that in there. Okay, so now once we've got that done, then we're gonna add the the flax seeds, and there's like a NutriBalancer. It's kind of a set of nutrients specifically for chickens that I've kept separate, because if I put it into the rest of the mix, it's just gonna sift to the bottom. I talked a little bit about that when we were making chicken feed a couple weeks ago. So the mixture just looks like this. You can see in there's those chia seeds, that NutriBalancer, and then I also put fish meal in here. So it's just those 3 things. You can imagine this smells great. It's very fishy. But yeah, this is going to provide some extra protein. That fish meal provides protein, and then some additional fats and nutrients in those flax seeds and that NutriBalancer. So I've got this measuring cup right here, and here I need, I usually do about 3.6 ounces of this stuff. So I'm just gonna grab that, see how close I can get to that. 3.2. This is a little bit more of a delicate art right here because 3.9 is too much. So anyway, you jiggy with it until you can get what you need. Now the thing about this stuff is it's not gonna stick to the grains, it's just gonna sift to the bottom again. So after I pour this in, then I'm actually gonna borrow just a little bit of water from their watering, pour it in so that it sticks to the rest of the grains. So you can see here, just gonna dip this in there and grab a little bit of water. And once I pour that in there, I will mix it up so all the grains stick to it. It's not like, just like that. Da-da-da-da. And perfect, it's all ready. Okay, so I'm gonna give them their compost. Now the one thing I will say, I will recommend this left and right. Train your chickens to a sound. They love their compost, it's like a treat to them. And so I make the same sound every time I pour it, and what that does is it alerts them that there's a treat or, something exciting. If you do this every single time, it will save you so much time in the summer when you're putting them out to pasture, or when, you need to move them somewhere, maybe to a different house, or get them out to clean the house. You just make that same sound and they come running as fast as possible, because they, whether or not you have this, sounds probably kind of mean to not give it to them when you make the noise, but hey, it gets them where you need them to go. In any case, I have a specific sound that I make when I give them their compost, and then they come running as fast as possible. So you can see there, these are our chickens. The kind of lighter neck colored ones are the Bielefelders, and then we've got the black Australorps, which are the black ones. They're already waiting for me though. They know I have the compost even before I make the sound. So, see, there you go. They're already chowing down. They've got some pancakes, some extra pancakes we didn't finish. And yeah, they're just gonna go to town. So it's a little bit not glamorous in here because everything's frozen. Now normally I would shovel out a lot of this extra top layer to clean it out, but in the winter everything's frozen. I can't. So we do deep litter method where we just add extra bedding each week, try and keep it as fresh and clean, and then I have a massive clean out job in the spring. We do it again in the fall, and it's not my favorite day, coop clean out day, but you know, you do what you gotta do. This is kind of fun. This is where we put the water. So under this is a cinder block. Welcome to Idaho. Because of those nipples, the water drips out little by little each time, and it has created this awesome frozen pedestal. So, once again, our rooster is excited. Obviously, nothing to do about that. We'll just have to wait till it thaws. But it's, you know, it's great when it's 2 degrees outside or negative degrees every day. Now, some other things that we give them, I don't change these every day, but I do check them every day just to make sure that they have enough. That is grit, because chickens don't have teeth, obviously, and so they need grit, which is pretty much just rocks, to help digest their food. As they eat the food, it gets inside of their system, and then it crushes up against the rocks, and it's how they digest their food. So, just got a little free choice grit option, and then we also give them oyster shells, which they eat on and off, but the oyster shells... He's very excited. The oyster shells give them calcium and other necessary nutrients for egg production, so it helps them with their egg production. You can see there's a little bucket of rocks. It's about half gone, and then there is the oyster shells, which they've started eating more because obviously more of them are laying eggs. Now, when we moved into this house, when we moved into this house, there was this already built-in coop to the side of this run. This run is completely covered, which, you know, isn't ideal. Protects them, but it's not ideal for sunlight. They need sunlight. And so what we're planning on doing is knocking out this wall right here, and we're going to make an outside run. You know, maybe not knocking out, just make some cuts down below, build an outside run so that they will be uncovered and have access to the sun a little bit more. We'll have to be careful because there are a lot of hawks around, so we'll just put chicken wire above the top to protect it. But other than that, the coop is just too small. And so we actually built in another coop inside this run, and it's working great. So we just took some 2x4s and some plywood, and we built this box structure within with a hardware cloth roof to protect from other predators like raccoons, skunks, and whatnot. And, you know, it's keeping them pretty safe and warm. So you can see here, there's that box structure. You can see the top has hardware cloth on, if I can get above these bars. And yeah, it's just this like 8x8 structure that is affixed to the wall with some screws. And then if you look inside, first of all, that's an automatic door. If you're gonna have chickens, I recommend the automatic door. It was kind of expensive, but not having to come out to open and close it is so amazing. It just goes with the sunlight. There's a little sensor right there. It'll open and close automatically. So here we've got a little latch. I've closed these vents. These right here are windows that I open and close. The winter it's too cold, so I keep them cold, or keep them closed during the winter. So in here, you can see we've got our roosting bars, which has enough space for more chickens than we have now, but we don't really want to get more chickens right now. And then there's a ramp up to it. You can see here it's full of leaves. That's what I use for bedding. I'm going to be adding some more bedding today. That's actually not too bad in here. It doesn't smell. It's pretty clean. And then there's a ramp up to where the other coop was that we don't use. And there are the laying boxes, nesting boxes is what they're called, in there. And that's where they lay their eggs. My hand is starting to freeze, so I think I've reached that limit. But in any case, I give them their food, their compost, their water, and then they just putter around happily and eat and thrive, and, you know, they do what they do. They're probably looking forward to me putting the leaves in. They love to dig in the leaves once I put them in. So, yeah, that's pretty much chicken chores every day. Now keep in mind that this is just one set of chickens. Right now we only have one set. We'll be getting meat chickens. Well, we just got our our incubator last week. So we're gonna be hatching our own eggs. That'll be a fun story. It's the first time doing that. We'll probably buy some meat chickens as well, because I'm not sure. We don't know what our hatch rate will be, so we're gonna be getting some more chickens. Anyway, I will have to show you when we get meat chickens, what that looks like, because we will be putting them out in pasture, and I have to go take care of them out far on the far end of our property. I don't know if you can see over there. It's kind of far away, but the horses just watch me every time I come out. Normally there's more than one, but right now I just see the one. He's just staring at me. I think they want me to come over and pet them. And sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll cross the fence. Our neighbor's cool. And I won't go in with them, but I'll just pet them, and I think they like it. They're a little skittish at first, but it's funny. They have 8 horses, and a lot of them often will just come stare at me when I'm not working with the animals. But you can see back there, that is our property. It's kind of hard to see all the way back. It's 5 acres. So we're planning on building a lake out there. We're planning on building a food forest. More on that later. You can see there's a pile of logs kind of in the center right there. Anyway, when we get the chickens, we put them far out there. It just makes chores take longer, but that's good. It'll be warm by the time we have them, so being out isn't that big of a deal. Right now, it's not super enjoyable, but I mean, you do what you gotta do. There's no rest for the homesteader. Anyway, thanks, and I'll talk to you next time.